I found out my mom committed fraud using my name on the same day she laughed at me for being broke. And no, I'm not exaggerating. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and I was sitting in my car outside my apartment complex, gripping my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. The email on my screen didn't make sense. It said my credit card payment was overdue. Except, I didn't have a credit card with that bank. My heart started racing. I opened my credit report. That's when everything unraveled. 3 credit cards, 1 personal loan, a utility account, all opened in my name, all maxed out, all delinquent. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like I was falling. I remember whispering, "No, no, no, no," like saying it enough times would undo what I was seeing. I scrolled. Dates, addresses, phone numbers. Then I saw it. My mom's address. I sat there frozen, the air feeling thick and heavy in my lungs. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from disbelief. This wasn't a hacker. This wasn't identity theft by a stranger. This was my mother, the same woman who used to tell everyone how independent I was. The same woman who bragged about raising a smart daughter. The same woman who never missed a chance to remind me how much she'd sacrificed. I drove straight to her house. She opened the door with a smile, holding a mug of coffee like it was just another normal afternoon. The smell of vanilla creamer hit me, and for a split second, I almost second-guessed myself. Almost. I didn't sit down. I didn't take my coat off. I held my phone up and said, "Why are there accounts in my name at your address?" She blinked once, slowly. Then she sighed. Not panic, not guilt, annoyance. "Oh, that?" she said, waving her hand like I'd just asked about expired milk. "I was going to tell you." My blood started boiling. "You opened credit cards in my name." She shrugged. "I needed them. My credit was already bad." I felt like I'd been slapped. "You committed fraud," I said quietly. That's when she laughed. Actually laughed. A short little scoff, followed by the words that would replay in my head for months. "If you're so smart," she said, taking a sip of her coffee, "pay your own bills." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She went on, casual as ever, explaining how she planned to pay them off eventually, how I owed her anyway, how it was basically family money. Family money. Meanwhile, I was getting rejected for apartments, paying higher insurance, living paycheck to paycheck because my credit score was destroyed before I even had a chance to build it. When I told her I couldn't afford this, her expression hardened. "Well," she said coldly, "that's not my problem." Something inside me snapped. I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I smiled. And in that moment, she thought she'd won. She had no idea what I was about to do. I didn't confront her again after that. That's the part people always expect. The screaming match, the tears, the dramatic showdown. But I didn't give her the satisfaction. I hugged her goodbye, told her I had errands to run, and walked out like nothing had happened. The second I got into my car, my hand started shaking. Not fear, focus. Because once the shock wore off, something else took over. Clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. My mom didn't see me as her daughter. She saw me as a backup plan. A social security number with legs. A safety net she could bleed dry and still sleep at night. So I stopped thinking like a daughter and started thinking like someone who'd been robbed. That night, I didn't sleep. I pulled my credit reports from every bureau, printed everything, highlighted dates, cross-checked addresses, every account traced straight back to her house, her phone number, her email. She hadn't even tried to hide it. I started remembering little things I'd brushed off for years. How she always insisted on helping me fill out forms. How she demanded my social security card when I was younger, for safekeeping. How she'd freak out whenever I talked about moving states. She wasn't protecting me, she was protecting access. The next morning, I called one of the banks. My voice shook at first. I told them I wanted to report fraudulent activity. The woman on the line asked if I knew who opened the accounts. There was a pause. Then I said it. Yes, it was my mother. Silence. Then professionalism. Procedures. Case numbers. Once I said it out loud, something heavy lifted off my chest. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't ungrateful. I was a victim. And victims are allowed to tell the truth. I filed fraud reports with every creditor. I placed a credit freeze. I locked everything down so tight she wouldn't even be able to open a store card in my name again. And then came the step I knew would change everything. I filed a police report. Typing my mother's name into that form felt surreal, like my fingers didn't belong to me. But I remembered her laugh, her shrug, the way she told me it wasn't her problem. So I made it her problem. A week later, she called me. Not angry, not scared. Sweet, too sweet. Hey, honey, she said, voice syrupy. I've been thinking about our little misunderstanding. Little. She said she'd pay some of it off. She asked me to drop whatever I'd done. She reminded me of Christmas mornings, of everything she'd ever bought me. And then she slipped. I got a letter from a bank, she said carefully. They're saying something about fraud. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. Oh, I said lightly, that... Her voice tightened. What did you do? I told the truth. The silence on the line this time was different. Heavy, sharp. You wouldn't, she said. I'm your mother. I smiled. You told me to pay my own bills, I replied. So I am. Just not the way you expected. That was the moment she realized I wasn't bluffing. But she still didn't understand how far I was willing to go. Not yet. The switch flipped after that call. Not on her end and on mine. Because once my mom realized I wasn't backing down, she didn't apologize. She didn't panic. She escalated. The text started first. Long paragraphs about how I was overreacting, how I was destroying the family, how I was being dramatic over numbers on paper. She said I was selfish, ungrateful, brainwashed by the internet. Then the guilt trips came. I gave up my youth for you. I could have had a better life. You're really going to do this to me? Every message was designed to hit the same spot. The part of me that still wanted her approval. The part that used to apologize even when I wasn't wrong. But that part of me was tired. And the more she talked, the more she exposed herself. Because mixed in with the guilt were little slips. Little admissions she didn't even realize she was making. I only used the cards when I had to. I was going to pay them once things got better. You would have helped me anyway. Helped. That word burned. She wasn't sorry she did it. She was sorry she got caught. 2 weeks later, an investigator called me. Calm voice, neutral tone. He confirmed what I already knew. The accounts were clearly fraudulent. Same IP address, same mailing address, same signature style. A paper trail so obvious it was almost insulting. He asked if I wanted to proceed. I didn't hesitate. Yes. That's when reality finally hit her. She showed up at my apartment unannounced 3 days later, pounding on the door like the world was ending. I watched through the peephole as she paced, smoothing her hair, wiping her eyes, rehearsing faces like masks. I opened the door just enough to talk. She started crying instantly. Real tears this time. She said she was scared, that she could lose everything, that people would think she was a criminal, that this would ruin her life. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't smile. I just asked one question. Did you think about my life when you did it? She froze. No answer. Just blinking, mouth opening and closing like the words wouldn't come. That silence told me everything. She begged me to call the banks. To say it was a mistake. To say I gave her permission. She promised she'd change. She promised she'd pay me back. I believed exactly none of it. When I told her no, her tears dried up instantly. Just like that, her face hardened, eyes sharp with anger. You're really going to choose money over your own mother? She snapped. I leaned against the doorframe, heart pounding but voice steady. No, I said. You already chose money over me. I'm just choosing myself now. She left without another word. That night, I slept better than I had in months. But the real consequences? They were just beginning. The consequences didn't come all at once. They crept in slowly, piece by piece. And that somehow made it even more satisfying. The first sign was silence. For the first time in my life, my mom stopped calling. No texts, no voicemails, no dramatic Facebook posts about ungrateful children. It was like she'd vanished. At first, I thought she was plotting something. Then I got the letter. Plain white envelope. Official seal. One of the banks confirming the accounts were officially ruled fraudulent. Not my responsibility. My hands trembled as I read it. I reread it 3 times just to make sure my brain wasn't filling in what it wanted to see. Zero balance. Not transferred, not negotiated. Removed. I sat on my couch and cried. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just quiet tears of relief soaking into my sleeves. For the first time since this started, I could breathe without feeling like someone had a hand around my throat. My credit score didn't bounce back instantly, but it started climbing, slowly. Honestly, clean. Hers, on the other hand, collapsed. I found out accidentally. My aunt called me one evening, voice low and hesitant. She asked if everything was okay between me and my mom. I told her the truth, not emotionally, just factually. Fraud, reports, investigation. There was a long pause. Then she sighed. That explains a lot. Apparently, my mom had tried opening a new line of credit. Denied. Then another. Denied again. She tried refinancing her car. Rejected. Her landlord refused to renew her lease without a cosigner. And for the first time ever, she didn't have one. She'd burned every bridge quietly over the years. Borrowed money here, unpaid favors there. I was just the last resource she hadn't expected to fight back. The investigator called again. Charges were being considered. He told me it wasn't personal. It was procedural. Multiple institutions. Significant amounts. Patterned behavior. I hung up the phone and stared at the wall for a long time. This was real now. A few days later, she finally texted me. Not begging. Threatening. If you don't fix this, I'll tell everyone what kind of daughter you are. I typed my response slowly. Tell them the truth. She never replied. Weeks passed, then months. I rebuilt my finances quietly. Got approved for my own credit card. Low limit, high interest, but it was mine. I paid it off every month like clockwork. Watched my score climb point by point. Every time it did, I felt stronger. And then came the final twist. One afternoon, I got a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. It was her. Not angry, not crying. Small. She said she was in trouble. That she needed help. That I was the only one who could save her. I deleted the voicemail without responding. Because the truth was simple. I already had saved someone. Myself. And she still hadn't realized. This was the part where the karma finished the job. Full narration script. Part 5, final. I didn't hear from her for almost 6 months after that. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits, just nothing. And in that silence, something strange happened. My life got quieter and better. I stopped jumping every time my phone buzzed. I stopped feeling sick opening my mailbox. I stopped bracing myself for emergencies that weren't actually mine. I focused on work, on saving, on building something that couldn't be taken from me with a signature and a lie. Then one afternoon, my aunt called again. This time she didn't hesitate. She's being charged, she said softly. I closed my eyes. Apparently, multiple banks had moved forward. Not all, but enough. The pattern was undeniable. She'd done it before, too. A cousin, an old partner. Smaller amounts, quiet fixes. Mine was just the first time someone didn't cover for her. The irony? The charges weren't even because I wanted revenge. They happened because I refused to lie. My mom tried reaching out one last time after that. A handwritten letter showed up in my mailbox. Uneven writing, emotional swings mid-paragraph. She said she didn't recognize herself anymore. That she felt betrayed. That she hoped one day I'd understand. I read it once. Then I shredded it. Because here's the thing people don't like to admit. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't screaming, humiliating, or destroying someone publicly. It's letting consequences do what they were designed to do. I never yelled. I never exposed her online. I never took pleasure in watching her fall. I just stepped out of the way. Today, my credit is clean. My finances are stable. I live in an apartment I qualified for on my own. I sleep through the night without fear. And my mom? She has to live with the fact that she lost the one person who would have protected her, because she chose greed over trust. If you're wondering whether I regret it, no, I regret not protecting myself sooner. Because when she told me, if you're so smart, pay your own bills, she was right, just not in the way she thought. I paid them with truth, and she paid for everything else. Whew. Did this one give you that satisfying chill?